The word Paititi was present in very early Spanish literature. He met some people that have spotted ruins of a huge city in jungles of Manu.
How long has this process been?
7 years, I guess. It was like putting a puzzle from many different pieces.
He was taken up in a helicopter to identify the path he came out of from his captivity.
Yes, exactly.
Were you able to triangulate the pictures he took and
Yes.
find them on modern maps?
Yes.
Keywords by searching for Paititi are square lake, and one waterfall.
All the puzzle pieces we put together, they all go into this small, spot.
According to this Jesuit document, the rulers of Paititi were...
Which lead us to think that it's not just by accident.
Recently, I had the pleasure of sitting down with the Paititi Research Team and discussing at length their investigation into locating this legendary city. And they've spent 7 years looking through all the literature, including indigenous accounts, original Spanish documents, compilations of testimonials from other researchers and adventurers who have sought out this lost city. And by pairing advanced mapping technologies with all these documents, they've been able to triangulate where they think this lost city can be found. And I think they're making a pretty strong case for it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. I've got a lot of adventures coming out soon. And with that, let's get into their research.
My name is Raul Bilecki. I'm a researcher, explorer, and I'm the creator of Pillars of the Past. Today, I feel incredibly fortunate to have Ceslav, Cieslar, and Yaroslav Vasyunin here from the Paititi Research Team. And their work has touched my heart personally and deeply because, like me, as an explorer and researcher, they are in the thick of things. They're getting on the ground. They're looking at maps. They're looking at literature. And this has been a project that has lasted, from what I know, well over half of a decade for them, this search for the lost city of Paititi. And so welcome to the channel, you guys, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you, too.
So, Ches, we're going to start with you.
Right.
Tell me, what is Paititi?
Well, all right. Talking about Paititi is a much difficult question and much difficult answer because we have very, very few informations about Paititi. Reliable informations. I'm not talking about myths, legends, and stuff like this. So, if I would like to answer you, I would probably say what is Paititi most probably not like. And I would say that most likely Paititi is not El Dorado, which means any kind of city full of gold, golden statues and golden stuff and all this like fantasy things. And maybe to your surprise, I would tell you also that according to what I believe, Paititi is also not something built by Incas. From what I know, it was like putting a puzzle from many different pieces, and I came to the idea that Paititi got created by another tribe, Chachapoyas, that were cooperating with Incas, building for them many things. Incas used them as very creative constructors, and that was their city. They built it. Maybe the Incas were ruling it for a certain time, but for sure not until the end.
So, I mean, from what I know, from what I've heard just like you hear of El Dorado and the lost city of Z, I've heard the name Paititi, and so I think there is this myth and legend surrounding it, like this mythical lost city. And so, I mean, and you've done the research, and you've been looking for this actual city because it's been referenced in literature. What is some of the fantasy about it from in the mainstream, for lack of a better word?
Look, The word Paititi was present in very early Spanish literature, yeah. But it got messed up together with El Dorado, exactly, and with other names. For what reason? You know, you have to imagine one thing. After Inca Empire got conquered by Spaniards, those first conquistadors, they got very rich, you know, because they were profiting, of course, on this amount of gold, what they got from Incas, what they have looted. Of course, the waste amount of it was sent to the Spain, but from the rest, they were profiting like crazy. And it was creating like gold fever in Spain, yeah. Something like what we know from Klondike or from let's say California later on, you know, in 19th century. It was creating the same story, the same fever. And many poor Spanish people were going just to Peru. Oh, we have to participate on it. We have to profit on it, you know. But they came over there, and from those all known localities, there was nothing to get anything anymore, you know. So what happened then? They had to look somewhere to still unknown territories in the east of Peru, covered by jungles. But to go there and to get something, it's much more difficult than to following the path, you know, and getting the main Inca cities and stuff like this. Anyway, about the word Paititi. Again, the same story in these early times, it was like with El Dorado. For example, I tell you, I have found an old coin behind a tree in my garden. Then you tell it to your friend, you'll say, oh, he found one golden coin under his tree. And another guy will tell to another guy, oh, he found one box of the coins, you know? And stories like this will come. And we have reports about that from the 16th century and so on. But you can't trust them simply. It's like mystery, you know. And they wanted, many of those newcomers to Peru wanted to make some expeditions into the jungle, but they have need for money from Spanish crown for it. And that's why they sent to the stories, oh, there and there is a legendary city. There and there is a legendary city full of gold. Yeah, and we have this, you know.
So then the crown would actually support and pay for these people to stay in Peru looking for things if they heard if they knew gold was going to be coming back to them.
The Spanish crown wanted to have some money as well, you know, because they were hungry after this so much amount of gold coming from Peru after the first conquest. Of course, they wanted more and more. Everybody wanted more and more. It's like, you know, crazy story, you know.
Going based on what you said, so there's these accounts that tell of this mythical, fabled city, you know, and full of gold. In your research, how do you separate that fiction from what is possible fact?
Well, I was not having a look at this mythical, legendary things and so on. I wanted to get something that I could trust. And fortunately for us, in 2001, Italian archaeologist and historian Mario Poglia found in archives of Society of Jesus one very reliable document referring to Paititi as a kingdom with capital, but it was not about gold. It was just simply a report about baptizing this kingdom over there, you know. And this gave me something to believe about that.
Because was the name Paititi used in that report?
Yes.
I see. Okay.
Moreover, it actually pointed to a specific area to the east of Cusco.
To the east of Cusco.
It gave whereabouts about its location.
And when was that from? When was that document from?
It's from the Jesuits archive. We, by the way, got the copy of it and translated it.
Oh yeah,
English, German, and Russian. and it's published on our website.
Okay.
Yeah. It's looks quite reliable because it's not about gold, it's not about fantasy. It's it's addressed to pop of really something serious, and it's dated by end of 16th century and beginning of 17th century. And that was something that touched my attention really, because I said, okay, that must be something on it. And plus, in it there is a description that Paititi stays by 10 days of walk from Cusco, which saying where, but it gives pretty good limits,
If you do some very rough estimates, going from Cusco towards the eastern mountainous areas, basically the known limits of the Inca Empire, it's roughly 10 days of walk, something like that. So
how did you know to go to the? How did you decide where you should be looking for these accounts? I mean, as a researcher myself, that's a pretty unique place to go look. In where were these archives?
It was in every news that time. It was very easy to find in the news, and Yaroslav somehow managed to get a copy of it.
Yeah, it was actually new. An article about that report was written in, if I'm not mistaken, one Italian journal, and I just got contacts of the address of the archive. I contacted people working there, and they scanned this report and sent the copy to us, and so we shared it. We also shared the original scans on our website, and we also translated it. That was a tough experience.
Were there other documents that this archive had?
No, this is the only one, as far as we know. But this was reliable for us. And what else was reliable for us was testimonies of some indigenous people spotting ruins of a huge city on the territory of Manu National Park. And that both things were like persuading us that there must be something there. It's not just a legend, because independent testimonies talking about the same stuff and describing it in the same way, basically, it can't be just accident.
Where, how did you come across some of these independent testimonies?
From the books, 2 different books describe those testimonies. Probably the best one. The best one is from a Peruvian guy who is unfortunately dead already, Sir Carlos Noensch van der Landa. Actually, his origin is in Switzerland. I didn't know it. It was later on I found. But he was a pioneer in searching for Paititi. And he met some people that have spotted ruins of a huge city in jungles of Manu. And even with helicopter, he was flying over these territories. He made some pictures, of course, without any coordinates, without anything. But Yaroslav then found everything on his own. So
we'll share it later.
Okay.
Yeah. And
So
yeah,
maybe I can share just to show the overall location of our research. Where
Sure, go ahead. I think you have the ability to share.
what I think anyway, if Carlos Noensch van der Landa would leave now and would have Yaroslav, he would be in Paititi already long.
Are you saying that were you able to triangulate the pictures he took and
Yes.
find them on modern maps?
Yes, I'm trying to share the screen. Let me.
Mind blowing.
I have troubles.
Yaroslav made everything. Yaroslav found
Maybe Ches, you can talk a bit about actually how it started. Like when you reached your limits by doing literary research, and you had some technological support to map everything, to put everything like in the real space.
Well, first, let me ask a question. Ches, what interests you? How did you get involved in the search?
I'll tell you right now. It was like this, I was studying my second university. Then I graduated in the field of international relations.
Excuse me, I'm interrupting. So I managed to share it. So this map shows just the context at which we are. This dotted pattern shows you like an approximate extent of the Inca Empire. And here is this red dot showing where we are searching for Paititi. So it's at the edge of this empire, like at the barrier which was separating the Amazon basin from western Andes, and these mountains, they acted as both as barrier and as a corridor, probably between people living in that high altitude selva and in the upper parts of the Amazon basin and the Inca Empire. So that's the context.
So this is fascinating. So it's looks like northeast from Cusco. This is the area that your research is highlighting is the most likely location for the lost city of Paititi. Correct?
Yes, exactly.
Incredible. Okay. Well, let's circle back, Ches. And you were telling me it was the second round in the university, I believe.
Yes, and then I graduated, and I was for a couple of years living just normal family life, and I was missing something. I said, bloody hell, I need to have some more kick, to do some kind of research, whatever. And I was searching through the books just to get some idea. And fortunately, I found a book from one Polish traveler, very well known, Jacek Pałkiewicz. He is a member of, I don't know, many societies, whatever. He found the sources of Amazon even, and so on. And in 2002, he was leading one huge expedition to Manu National Park, sponsored by Peruvian government, Italian government, Polish government, in order to find Paititi. And I read his book. I was looking at it. Okay, they didn't find it for certain reasons that time I didn't know really what was the exact reason. I found it much later on. But there were some pictures on it, like showing satellite pictures. I said, yeah, well, okay, I'll find it, and I'll go there, and I will find it too. But where? It's huge territory, like crazy. Then I started to buy more and more books in every possible language, because I speak a few languages, so it was not for me difficult to dig books in German, in English, in Spanish, whatever. The more I knew, the more I get confused. Yeah. It's like Paititi could be all over the territory of Manu National Park, basically. You don't know. You have no, really some kind of hanging point. And then one funny story happened. I was reading in the news one fake news. One student from Canada found lost Maya city using satellite technology. Later on, it came out that it was not true, but it gave me this point. I said, oh yes, that could give me something, and I started to search in internet. Thanks God we have internet today, and the world became really small, I was thinking, who could help me with it? And I was searching some freelancers specialized on satellite technology. I saw this guy here, Yaroslav. I was looking at his face. He could be okay. Good. And I contacted him.
Yeah, I remember I was talking with my friends saying, oh, there is some crazy Swiss guy looking for something in the jungles. And but it gave me a very interesting, challenging task to try to penetrate through thick vegetation foliage to try to see some underlying, maybe semi-buried archaeological, remains, and that catched me. I started to work on that because that's a really interesting thing, especially when someone pays you. Yeah, that time I worked as a freelancer. By the way, yeah, I'm by profession. I'm a data scientist, experienced with geospatial technology. So I analyzed a lot of satellite imagery, developed geographic information systems. So it was my profession, and it is my profession. And but the more I worked with this project, the more it became like my personal, hobby project. And in the end, we just, cooperated. We made Paititi Research Team, and we were like partners doing this research. And yeah, and it developed. It started like from separated puzzles of a huge mosaic. We didn't know precisely where to start.
Did you believe he was onto something when he first contacted you?
It was quite, like waves. At some periods I was believing him. At some periods I was thinking that I was doing some really work which wouldn't lead to any result. But the more I worked, the more I also read. Then I realized that actually the Amazon, like the eastern side of the Andean slopes and the upper Amazon, it's really poorly studied because of harsh conditions, because of there is no infrastructure, and any research there it just requires a lot of investment, and just it is like that. And nowadays there are new publications you can find discovering big archaeological sites there, discovering that Amazonian folks didn't live in isolated communities, but it was like more a network, that there was a flow of goods from the Inca Empire, that some goods were found like in the lower Amazon. So every year there is something new, and this land it hides a lot of mystery yet to be discovered. And Paititi or not, but I became sure that this territory hides something that we can discover. And as I'm confident, I'm sure about the capabilities of remote sensing techniques, and I also know its limitations. I know that if there is some big site, big archaeological site there, we have real chances to discover it. That's it. So I'm more inclined. I don't say I'm 100% sure Paititi is there, but I'm inclined to say that if it is, we will find it there. I'm more a skeptic, in our team.
Well, I mean, that's healthy. It's healthy to have a balance.
We are like police, good and bad guys. It's going too,
Well, so let me. How many records? Let's just say, how many believable records with the mention of Paititi or something in that location that sounds like another record of something in that location? How many documents did you go through that you feel are valid?
Many. Basically, I was going through everything possible that I was able to find in internet. Yeah, I've ordered all the books. I've read all the records in internet available, but I would mention just two, which are for whoever interested in Paititi really valuable. So the first one is the first book that I started with, and this is a book from Jacek Pałkiewicz, El Dorado Hunting the Legend, describing his expedition to Manu National Park in 2002. Not that much valuable because of description of this expedition, but it has, I guess, two testimonies from the indigenous people recorded by Catholic priests in Lima. And the priests they have very good connection to local people, because they are strongly believing, and especially one of them, it was a priest named Szeliga with Polish origin. He was a very good expert in healing plants of Peru. He was even having some kind of institute for that, if I remember well. But anyway, he was curing, for example, a wife of one indigenous guy who had no money to pay a normal doctor. And for this, he got like golden axe from him. And he said it's from a city in the jungle that he knows. And he was more or less describing the way how to get there. Yeah, of course, again in Manu National Park. Yeah, so that is one thing. Good. And second book, and probably the most valuable, would be from Carlos Noyes van der Landa, Paititi en la bruma de la historia. A part of pictures, what he got from by flying with helicopter when researching the sites that he got from testimonies, again from some indigenous people. There are those testimonies, and yeah.
So these accounts, these testimonials from the indigenous people, these are coming from the times of the Spanish conquistadors, or
no, much later. I mean, because he was, for example, Carlos Noyes van der Landa was flying by helicopter with one of those guys giving him the testimony, and he was proving the localities. And they were perfect shooting up. So we found, like keywords by searching for Paititi are square lake, artificially done, and one waterfall. And exactly, that's what Yaroslav made. He found it from the picture published in this book.
So yes, one of the.
Tell me, so A is the photograph from the helicopter.
Yes. B is a satellite image we got draped over a digital elevation model. It's not like perfectly, it doesn't fit like perfectly because of a different precision and the quality issues in the digital elevation model, but it is the same, actually, the same place. The georeferencing of photographs was one of the most important, actually, steps in our work, because it gave us like very clear indications on whether we were on track or not. I can show you another.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
So when was the helicopter? What year? Does the record?
Oh, long time ago. It was like in 70s or something.
70s, okay. So go ahead, Yaroslav, explain this.
Yeah, it's one of the main landmarks, crucial for the research, like five we call it 5 Peak Mountain. Another example of how we.
I see that. Okay, the peaks, the 5 Peak Mountain. Okay.
Yes. Again, the digital elevation model has its limitations. It's like more coarse, so it can't represent all these small details of the terrain. So it may not perfectly represent the shape, but it indicates us that it looks like that. Yeah.
So what does the book say about this I'm going to play skeptic here. Okay.
All right.
What does the book say? So he's flying around in his helicopter with this indigenous person and is asking him, where is the city? Does he say anything in the book about seeing any stone or anything like that?
Look, the most valuable testimony was from one guy that was captured by Machingega's tribe together with his sister Rosita, he was spending 3 years in captivity, but by Machingengas. It's one tribe living over there in Manu. And when he wanted to escape, he hid himself in the ruins of one huge city, because he has noticed that this tribe is avoiding one place all the time by hunting. And he asked, what is the reason to avoid the place? I said, there is a sacred place from the time of Incas. We are not allowed to enter it. And he was using exactly this place for hiding himself when he escaped from this captivity. Yeah, then he described it as a huge city with huge walls and so on. Yeah, and when they stopped hunting him, then he escaped more further, and he came back to civilization. And his name was Angelino Borda. Carlos Neves van der Landa then took him to a helicopter, and they were making the whole trip of his escape, and everything was
wow.
Everything was perfect. Yeah. But we didn't know where this trip ends exactly. Where is this city? And Yaroslav was able to fix it by analyzing his handmade maps.
Okay, let me show you the first.
First, really quick, I gotta ask some questions while we're still on the story. What happened to the guy's sister? Did she escape with him?
Yes, with him.
Okay.
They escaped both.
So, and you're saying he was taken up in a helicopter to identify the path he came out of from his captivity.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Okay. All right, Yaroslav.
So again, georeferencing of these old maps, which were like handmade, so they don't fit perfectly the real terrain surface. It was an important step because also in various testimonies you see people refer to some rivers, particular rivers, this or that, and mapping the river network with correct river names was like a foundation for doing this research.
I can see if you're looking at the rivers, you can see where it matches up. So wait, let's stay on here.
Okay.
So we're saying there's pyramids of
Paratorari. No, it's an actually natural landscape.
So it's a real place that we found.
We just put the location of it. It's this place is called Pyramids of Paratorari, but there are no pyramids. It's simply a natural landscape. Forget it. Just to get orientation points on the maps,
Let me explain one important thing. So
Yeah.
when you start to work with such a research project of a literally uncharted territory, what you do is you just get all the information possible, all the maps you find, all the satellite images from all the possible sources you can get, all the locations, points, testimonies, everything you can, and put it together on the map. You don't, decide in the initial step or whether I need this information or I don't need. No, you take it, you put it on the map, and then when you have this complete, picture of the territory, then you can start to think, okay, what can I do with this information? What analytical methods I can apply? Okay, I have a digital terrain model. What I can do with that? Can I make a river network out from that, and so on and so on? So the basis is just get everything and put it into the geographic information system. That was our approach.
Okay.
So I wanted to show this slide. So this map shows like this different patterns. They correspond to different testimonies. So we approximately, as we could, as precise as we could, because testimonies like were vague enough, you know. But still, we try to map approximate areas for each testimony it referred to, and put them on a map, and to see if there are intersections between them. And here it is. These are names of people that actually made these testimonies.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, are these testimonials, are they speaking about the terrain? Are they speaking about the environment? Or so what from their testimonies are you mapping out?
Square Lake, one guiding point. Yeah. 5 Peaks Mountain, another guiding point. What else?
Waterfall.
Yeah.
A huge waterfall.
Carlos Nash van der Landa was exactly by flying with helicopter. He was searching for Square Lake and this waterfall, and he made pictures of them, but without giving any coordinates and something. Yeah.
I didn't see. Do you have a picture of the waterfall?
Yes. Yes.
Let me try to find it. No. Here it is, the left image.
Oh,
Sorry,
that's a waterfall. Okay, I thought that was just the mountain. Okay. Oh,
So,
I see. It's written right there. Okay. Yeah. Okay, perfect.
And actually, we got those pictures much later. Then we localized some of our areas that we thought that it's most favorite one. Yeah? But Yaroslav can tell you about that, how we were getting into this exactly.
Wait, so hold on. Let me see if I got this straight. Because that's big. You're saying you mapped out these areas based on the testimonies, and then you got the pictures.
It was later on that was actually making us even more sure that we are on the right path.
Because the pictures, then
Yes.
you could find inside the area that you mapped. That's
Exactly.
wild. Okay. Wow.
And after that, I thought, okay, maybe we
might
will
be
get
onto
it.
something. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So I think Ches was pointing us in your direction, Yaroslav, to about some of the more technical nuance of, I saw on the website there all the different layers and things of that nature. Do you want to explain that to us?
Okay, let me. I have some slides prepared, so let me maybe skip through them.
Yeah.
So first of all, I don't know how our listeners are familiar with all this geospatial technology, but maybe let's
pretend they're not familiar with it. I have Google Earth.
Okay.
So
Okay.
explain to me as best you can.
Okay, let's say we have two main keywords here: geographic information systems and the remote sensing of the Earth. The first one is a technology that allows manipulation and analysis of geographic digital data. So you have traditional atlases, maps, but they're on paper. If you put them into computer, then it's you can analyze them. And then we have satellite images. We will talk in details about them a bit later. There are different kinds of images with the different spectral ranges, and there are a lot of different methods of how you can process them, extract some valuable information from them. So very broadly speaking, a GIS, a geographic information system, it's a set of layers, okay, like terrain, stream network, like satellite image, some thematic maps, like a map showing slope steepness, a map showing slope aspect, so in which direction your terrain is oriented. settlements, populated places, roads, and everything is like layers. The point is that this information is you can analyze it. You can like estimate distances between points. You can measure areas, and you may do even more sophisticated things that we did. For instance, you have a digital elevation model, which is like imagine an image, like a photograph, but in each pixel of the image, you store elevation value, like 0 meters above the sea level, and or 1,000 stored in that pixel will be 1,000 meters above sea level. And you can process this information, and a GIS generates you river network just out from terrain. So imagine you work with an uncharted territory. You don't have maps for that. You may download find some topographic maps, military maps of quite of not so detailed scale, and you have blank areas where it's written the datos insuficientes or something like that. Okay, so so the main step was to get all this data inside, and we live in a brilliant time, because nowadays there are a lot of publicly available satellite data sets from governments, from like NASA, from other space agencies. But publicly available data, they are from low to like medium spatial resolution. So when you look at this at an image, each pixel of an image corresponds to some square on the earth, on the ground, and the best resolution you can get with this publicly available data is when your pixel will correspond to a square 10 by 10 meters. Okay, if you want to get a more detailed view, which if you are looking for archaeological sites, of course you want, then you need to go and to acquire commercially available data. But it's also abundant, and some satellite operators, they even offer for researchers, you can actually get it for free. So it's
because we are poor researchers.
yeah, it's a low cost. No, it's true. We are independent researchers. We are not affiliated with any organization. We didn't get any funding, so we just spend our time and our money on that. And so of course we try to save up to not spend much. But yeah, as I told you, we live in a brilliant time when you can get free data for a vast territory, and you also can have free software, specialized software like GIS and so on, which is freely available. It's open source. You can download it. You
and I might have to meet at some point, because I downloaded somebody, one of my followers suggested I take a look at the GIS software, and I had to put it away. I mean, it was way too confusing for me.
Tough. It's tough, I admit. I was trained in that. I graduated from the Moscow State University for geodesy and cartography. It's my profession. I understand that for people not trained in this, it can be very difficult, but at least it's available. There are even online courses like on Coursera or something like that. So if you really want, you can get into it. 20 years or even 10 years before, it was really tough. So if you didn't get a specific education, if you didn't graduated from a university where you were taught this matters, it was like impossible to get into this field. Nowadays it's more democratized. You have resources, you have tools, you have data. If you are smart enough, you can try to get into it. So
that's good information for anybody listening. That data is out there.
So this is just okay. This, I know the tables are boring, but just to give you an overview of what kinds of data we had. So these are different satellites that we get. One interesting thing is that I need to share a picture. Sorry, another picture. So you're lucky. No more boring tables. So about remote sensing. Okay.
Wait, what sensing?
Remote sensing.
Okay.
So when I say remote sensing, I mean satellite that are observing the Earth, or sensors installed on aerial vehicles. But mostly it's about satellite remote sensing. So it's when sensors use electromagnetic waves to get image of our planet, of the territory. Okay, the cameras installed on satellites, they're more sophisticated, more precise, and they work in more spectral ranges. Like your camera just get an image in the visible range. Cameras installed on satellites can image in a near infrared band, in far infrared band, and so on. So what I wanted to say is that, and by the way, yeah, all these images you see here, they were openly available to get.
Okay,
And
so these images here, is this of your site?
Yes.
they should be there.
Oh wow. Okay. So this is part of the area that you guys have identified as being the likely location, like the river, and
it's a part of a bigger area, because like we started to research. The first thing we did was, okay, maybe let's see some existing ruins known, already discovered, like in the surrounding areas, and let's see how it look on satellite images and so on, what we can do with that. So we started to explore what we can do. Then we started to, as we get some rough idea, we started to penetrate deeper in the Manu National Park. What this slide shows you is that satellite imagery that you can see like in Google Earth or in Google Maps. It's just a tip of an iceberg. You know, when you work with, let's say, original satellite images, then you have more possibilities. You may mix spectral channels to highlight specific features. For instance, can you see this?
yeah, I was just gonna ask you about that. I was just gonna ask you.
Okay. We talked about like these photo cameras attached to satellites. This is optical remote sensing. Then we have a different kind of sensor. It's called a synthetic aperture radar, SAR. Okay. This is an active type of sensor. What it means, it emits microwave pulses towards the Earth and records the echoes. Okay, it means that it can operate even at night. So because it doesn't need to have sun to illuminate the surface. The point is that it gives you a completely different view on the terrain, because it uses microwave radiation. The same you use in your microwave oven. It's the same wavelength that our mobile phones use. And these waves are able to penetrate through actually leaves, and in some conditions you even can penetrate through dry soil, and which may be the case on this image. If the soil is not wet, in some, like in somewhere in Africa, in Sahara, if I'm not mistaken, an ancient riverbed of the Nile River was discovered under like 10-meter sand depth with the help of the radar. Depending on conditions, there are a lot with remote sensing. It's always a lot of factors influencing the data quality, what you can see, what you can't see. What I wanted to show you on this image is that, okay, on the right is just an ordinary in the visible range image. Okay, on the left, this same territory, but as seen from radar, and you see these linear features there. What they are, I don't know. So it's actually, this picture is outside from our research area, but I included it to highlight the potential of this technology. The problem is that as we started, and the Ceslav initially asked me, how can we penetrate through the dense forest to see what is there? Radar imaging was one of the technology I thought about that would help us. But the problem is that the territory of our research, where we ended up, is very rugged. It's mountainous. And radar is very, how to say it in English, susceptible to terrain roughness. And there is a lot of noise, a lot of geometric distortions. Just name one of these. You may have top of the hill and bottom of the hill swapped, like changed.
Oh, wow.
So it's just difficult to, well, impossible to interpret, a lot of noise. And so in the particular area where our research is focused, we didn't apply radar imaging. Okay.
Let me ask you just a quick question. So this satellite with the SAR technology, did you have to find that special, or is that also, I mean, is there a satellite just going around the Earth beaming microwaves?
So there are a lot of satellites around the Earth. If I'm not mistaken, there are about, I may be wrong, but something like 600 remote sensing satellites constantly orbiting the Earth, working different spectral ranges, different altitudes, so covering constantly our Earth with the images. This particular and this also, these radar images, they don't come from satellite. They come from an aerial survey. There is a NASA program called UAV SAR. What they do, they have a airplane, an unmanned vehicle, and they fly in the Mesoamerica, in all those areas, and they collect this information for different purposes, for earthquake-like studies, for like geological studies, and so on. And they make this data available. And we were fortunate to find that they also passed above our research area, so we could get this data. Yeah.
So that was my question. You just kind of get lucky that
Yes.
they happen to pass. Okay.
Because if we think about, again, ordinary satellite data from commercial satellites, which can give you an image where each pixel corresponds to a square like 30 by 30 centimeters, a very detailed one. You may order such image, and they will take it for you, and it will cost just, I don't remember precise prices. I worked in this industry, distributing images, but something like $30 per square kilometer, and with a minimum order of 25, 30 kilometers. So 30 by $30, okay, plus, taxes. And this is an ordinary image. If you want to get a radar image from a radar satellite, it costs much more. You would probably need an investment to do that.
So how big is in one of the other images you had that area from all the testimonials, right?
Okay.
How big is that area?
Our area is about 15 square kilometers, isn't it?
You mean the final area?
The final area.
We started from 8,000 square kilometers, okay? and then create a map that shows us like more probable locations of where Paititi can be. And it came to studying like already known sites like Machu Picchu and like dozens of others. I noticed that they are all actually, if you explore terrain morphometry, so parameters of the terrain, which you can do in GIS. So you can like click on a map and it will say what is the slope steepness, how the slope is oriented. You can extract this information. And I noticed that actually, despite all these ruins were located in mountainous area, but actual sites were relatively flat. Okay. And so it came to my mind, if we can try to, estimate such slope steepness and to see how it fit with the different already known places, what we did is we first mapped several dozens of existing ruins we could get with precise locations, because, well, it's hard to get precise coordinates for archaeological sites because they are not published for security reasons, for ethical reasons, and so on. So we estimated what we can do, and also we get like about 16,000 places of small modern settlements in the Andes. So where people live, there are several buildings there. So we just get these thousands of locations, and we try to see how these terrain parameters are distributed across those places. So on this screenshot, you see some archaeological site. I don't remember which one. You have this circle. And inside this circle, we like estimate the mean value of slope steepness. Okay, and we do this for all the points we gathered, and we found that like almost all of them, they fall in this from 0 to 20 degrees range. Okay, so and later I discovered that Italian scientists applied a similar approach here in the Alps, so to discover settling patterns of some prehistoric folks here in the Alps. They applied the same approach. So I was very happy to see that it's confirmed in the literature. It's and like that we produced. We call it a settlement suitability map. You also may find the term archaeological sensitivity. What it shows the most probable locations to find archaeological sites. This dark polygon surrounds the area of our research. So it's about 8,000 square kilometers. It's how we started, okay? Then by narrowing your research only to these green spots, like from approximately from 0 to 20 degree slope, you narrow it down. And it helped us to actually identify 6 potential areas. So not only by using this slope map, no, it's a complex of information. So like when you study, you switch between layers. You see the radar image, the like multispectral image. You see this settlement suitability map, and so on. And we identified 6 sites that could potentially contain some, some Paititi candidates. That was the main milestone we achieved.
Well, we had like 6 sites with having something interesting, like would suitability place for Paititi. But then we compare it with those testimonies, and it was quite easy for us to eliminate 5 sites, and we got into one, the last. And plus, this last one contained something very, very strange. Yeah, that we can't explain on natural way.
As soon as we identified the potential candidates for a big archaeological potential site, we actually started to collect high-resolution satellite imagery from commercial providers.
That's true.
To try to get maybe spot some features there. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And we did spot some features in some areas around the whole area. Actually,
I mean, it looks bigger than what the box you have mapped out.
Yes, I agree. Actually, it's bigger. I don't know why I didn't map everything. Maybe I was lazy. Maybe it was just enough to,
just to show you that there's something. Yeah, I mean,
delineate something, and then so I won't miss it. But
honestly, from the work that I've done, and my stuff, I've been looking like in the coast, sometimes up in the Andes around Markawasi and stuff like that with Google Earth. But that's the grid pattern that you see from a lot of these sites.
Yes, and that's interesting. That why you need to get as much data, even of the same kind, because you see it's a subtle play of shadows, because maybe there is some underlying archaeological remains which change how plants grow. Maybe it stresses the plants, maybe it changes the chemical compound of the soil and so on. So they grow differently, a bit differently. And if the sun angle is particular, you may spot it. Then you may find another satellite image for the same area with the same characteristics, the same resolution, and so on, and you don't see anything because that image was taken like 1.5 hours after that, and so the shadows weren't aligned like that, and so you can't spot anything. That's you need to have also luck, So, actually commercial satellites, they don't take images just straight below itself, like in the nether point. They actually steer their camera, so you can also have some, on the one side, perspective distortions there, but on the other side, those distortions can also be helpful in identifying these, subtle, very thin patterns.
What architecture was described in those testimonies? What type of structure?
Something that doesn't correspond with typical Inca's architecture. It means a city surrounded by huge walls. Yeah? And Incas were not doing this. But exactly that tribe of Chachapoyas, you can have a look at the original cities like Cuelap. You can have a look at this.
They have a wall.
Exactly. And Incas were using them also in the territory near where we suppose the existence of Paititi, like, for example, Choquequirao. I was talking to some guys about that, and they confirmed me that Chachapoyas were presented there, and they made some buildings over there. So why not them to be the builders or the creators of Paititi? And plus, according to this the Jesuit document, the rulers of Paititi were like white-skinned.
They were lighter skinned.
Yes, and again that could point on Chachapoyas, because exactly they were like this.
That's what the records say about the Chachapoyas. Interesting.
Well, I don't know. It's just by my conclusions, I take the Occam's razor method, which is not scientific, but we have so few informations about it. So I take just this what we have, yeah, and that would point on it. I would say, but this will be confirmed only after the real Paititi will be found. And then the archaeologists have to do their job. It will be not our job anymore. Yeah.
So you said you found 6 locations that you started out that were highly likely, but you've narrowed it down to 1.
We have narrowed it to 1 because we confronted them with testimonies, yeah, and all this, plus the later on found pictures done by Carlos Nench van der Landa point exactly on that place.
So like the waterfall and like the mountain, like, okay.
We selected out from 6 candidates. We just highlighted here some delineated approximately the potential side boundaries, highlighted some features. Maybe I will show you another picture, this one, to show the context.
I have it. I'm looking over here because I have it on my big screen here.
Okay, yes. So this is the location of Paititi according to our research.
You might be onto something here. You might be onto something. I mean, this is.
You can actually see why it hasn't been discovered until now. I tell you why. Because if you go through the jungle, I mean, modern people, if they try to go through the jungle for an expedition, they use rivers usually because it's most easy, you know. But if you would use any river here, you would never get there.
Why?
And like this is of course until now undiscovered, because it's not by any big river that you can use as transportation. You know,
So that river right there below is not. You can't. Yeah, you can't use that.
This in some, if I'm not mistaken, can be navigable on small boats, right, Chess? But
yes, it is.
So
but
like
there's no.
Yeah.
How far would you say is from the river to that?
A few kilometers.
How much?
A few kilometers.
Just a few kilometers. I mean, that's doable.
Just a few kilometers in that conditions. That's.
I mean,
I have doubts. I have doubts. You know.
Good point. Good point.
The expedition we made, like a test expedition we made in 2019, taught us that we shouldn't underestimate the terrain, and we shouldn't overestimate our capabilities. Also, you know.
Exactly.
And you know, you're right. That's that adventurer in me. Like for me, when I'm just remembering the time we talked about my video where I climbed the mountain, and I couldn't have gone even a kilometer. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't even a kilometer. And I'm here thinking we can do this easy. You know,
try that. Yeah.
So, but that would be the place to get left. The river, and then maybe hike up there and camp out.
Well, I'm just saying that you can't spot it from the river. If you pass by the river, you can spot the city from the river. You know, it's because it's hidden. It's hidden much behind.
Yeah. And so, okay, looking at this image, that on the farthest left of the ridge, is that 5-point mountain?
No, I think it's outside
it's a little bit more behind. It's a little bit more.
Okay.
So the more important landmarks here are the lake, which is there, which actually may not look like lake because well, lakes, they tend to dry up, you know, and they may, you know, they're how it's called in English, eutrophication processes. So they overgrown with vegetation. And so there are maybe just contours of this lake remain, but it indicates a clear square spot without woody vegetation here. So it's like a swamp now, something like that. There is a waterfall referred in the testimonies somewhere here. I can't see now in this image. And there are some, you know, terrace, something looking like terraces here actually, which we need also to be aware about that sometimes natural features really can look like human-made. They can be there can be linear structures and so on. But
That's right.
all the detail puzzle pieces we put together, they all go into this small spot, and which lead us to think that it's not just by accident.
Hard to imagine, such a symmetrical structures. Well, I don't know, but I can't hard to imagine that it's just.
Look, Chess, geology can do crazy things,
I mean that
underlying geological processes, like pyramids of Paratoari that you referred, Raul.
Exactly. Yeah,
It's really, there is like a pattern looking like pyramids. It's quite regular.
I mean, they have that in the if you look up you can look on Google Earth, the Okukahe Desert, where they find whale bones in the desert. It's a geological site that is the old riverbed, and it's the mountains that look very much like pyramids. I mean, I'm sure that they were revered at some point, but it is natural. So there is stuff like that.
I'm just counting on this. In the same area where done the pictures of Carlos Noyes van der Lande, testimonies are pointing on it, strange structures are pointing on it. So what the hell,
It is worth checking out.
Exactly.
So how are you guys going to do that?
That's a good question.
Well, what are the next steps?
Yaroslav, say about it. Technology, what we
need. You and our listeners, if they are interested in the archaeology, they probably heard about all this buzz around the LIDAR imaging, LIDAR service, which actually revolutionized the mapping of Mesoamerica territory, South America territory, because what LIDAR is, it's like radar, okay, but instead of microwave pulses, it emits pulses in a visible spectral range. So it's laser, okay, laser that is emitted in like a lot of directions below the airplane, for instance, and then those beams that echo from the ground or from trees or from whatever on the surface, they echo back to the sensor and they are recorded. And like that, you can, what you get out from this survey in the end, it's a so-called point cloud. So you see a three-dimensional space with points around them, around its space. If you like zoom out from it, it looks like a perfect surface, because these points can be very dense, like they can be placed like few centimeters between each other. So if you zoom out, you just see surface, but if you zoom in, you see separate points. And what people do, they nowadays they apply some machine learning algorithms, some sophisticated processing techniques that allow to classify these points. For instance, okay, these points are, these particular points belong to the ground, these points belong to tree trunks, these points belong to, if we're talking about imaging of some urban environment, these points belong to a car, these points belong to a building, and so on. Because it's laser pulses, they actually can find a hole, in the tree,
even the vegetation.
Exactly, because it's not like continuous. There are small holes. If you look above, you can see light, coming through it. In the same way, laser pulses can go through it and reflect back. Like that, you can have reflection from the ground. And if there is some important archaeological remain, some structure, you actually can get like a shape of it. Right. And like that, the LIDAR surveys revolutionized the archaeology in the densely vegetated areas. It's very costly. So these kind of surveys are organized by, you know, private government partnerships, something like that. Governments, they order LIDAR survey to produce, you know, topographic maps for, you know, for military reasons and so on. Some countries make this data even available for free. And like that, researchers like recently I read the news that one researcher from Mexico was able to download LiDAR data and discovered some
Yeah, it was from. I was just gonna say, with LiDAR now, every few months we're finding a new, you know, city. But speaking to what was just in the news, I think that survey was done years ago for agriculture or something like that, for some environmental study, but nobody had looked at it for archaeology. Exactly. And then he did and was like, oh, there's structures there.
It was funny to read. It was written in the news like he accidentally, you know, found. I don't think you know, you accidentally download gigabytes of LiDAR data, process it, and analyze. But whatever, if you are lucky and your territory of interest is already covered by some, you know, previous survey, then you can get data and analyze it. If not, you need to organize your own survey, which is not so easy, because if you are trying to do some let's say if you want to use some lightweight, you know, drones, you know, some lightweight equipment, you are limited in how far you can go, how vast the area you can map, so it's tricky. But what we want to do is actually to map this territory with LiDAR, and because it will allow us to see what's there without going there, which is much safer and also much cheaper than organizing still ground expedition, because in that territory organizing it requires a lot of investment. We should mention that like I already told about the test expedition we made in 2019. And the one actually of the main scope of that expedition was to make connection with local people, with the local organizations. Fortunately, we succeeded, and so yeah, we're trying to develop relations with one university in Lima and with different other organizations. So let's hope it will work.
And well, plus another aspect of it is this is in a protected national park.
Yes.
Right. And so that, I mean, that you have to get the government to sign off, right? And probably have somebody surveying your work or something like that.
Well, the National University of Engineering in Lima has direct connection to the government, you know, so this is the only way how we can go there, if once we will do, just through cooperation with them.
And sometimes I think that it's like more difficult than actually to identify, to find Paititi, like with remote sensing in GIS. It was easier than
it's easier to do that than to coordinate with everybody you have to coordinate.
Exactly.
Wow. So with people in your contacts in the university, are they convinced by your work? Yes,
they pretty appreciate it, but of course, you know, they don't want as well to risk too much involvement without getting more proof. Yeah. And so, like this, we said, okay, we might have first to do this LiDAR scanning over the area, and only after this we will decide we'll go there or we will not go there. From the initial talks with this company in Cusco, they told us it's no problem if we don't want to land. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, and they're in Cusco. They're the experts. That's what they do. And like you said, this is what, a 10 days walk from Cusco.
10 days walk from Cusco. That corresponds with our area too. Yeah.
So what?
I would actually I would correct Ches. 10 days from Cusco corresponds like to the if we imagine Paititi like a kingdom, more broad territory.
All
So
right.
we have a
Yes, but
city. 10 days, not like from Cusco to this particular area,
no. Sorry.
but
Yeah.
10 days until like the mountain
Borders.
range separating the eastern slopes of the Andes from the western slopes, where we,
Yeah. Yes.
as we interpret it. So because actually it's not clear
Cordillera de
what it
de
meant.
Paucartambo. You mean Cordillera de Paucartambo? I'm right.
Yes, if I'm not mistaken, it's called like that.
You're thinking Paititi is not just a city. Paititi is a kingdom.
Yes, according to this Jesuit document, it was a kingdom with its capital. But of course, we are not searching for a kingdom because this kingdom has no inhabitants right now, so it doesn't exist. Yeah, we are searching for its capital, which
Well,
is the only
I suppose they had
material
some
post.
territory they influenced around, so
Yeah,
call it as you wish. It's
you say, so it's likely that those 5 other spots that you guys found probably might have some structures too. It's from my own experience on the coast, it's very difficult to find one isolated city all by its. They were incorporated into complexes and kingdoms and cultures, and so they were even valleys apart. You're part of the same thing. So
but it depends, of course, how long they lasted. Those kingdoms on the coast, comparing to Paititi. Paititi was, I guess, a short-living stuff,
Say it again.
I guess Paititi was not something like lasting for many centuries,
No.
No, I don't think so. I can't imagine that. Because, for example, I guess that Paititi was built just somehow in the years by the beginning of conquest, of Spanish conquest of Inca Empire, yeah. But then, by the revolution of Tupac Amaru II, he had no support from there. Why he had no support from there? It was probably not existing anymore, and also from other sources you don't hear about its existence anymore. So I guess it was short-lasting story,
Were there any I was gonna ask if there were any, Inca records, and then I just remembered, wait, we don't have any writing from the Incas, so there's no way unless you can read quipus, I remember when we spoke privately, Ches, you shared with me that there were some incidents with the uncontacted tribes in that area. Can you want to talk about some of those?
Yes, it happened actually in the 70s, if I am not mistaken. It was an expedition of Nicholson. It's not very sure what was his name. It was like 1 American and 2 French or something like that. And they got killed by tribe of Kugapakoris, most probably. According to the legends, those Kugapakoris, they are protecting the sacred city of Incas over there in jungle. Yeah, this what I was reading in a book. Exactly, it's not my theory. It's just what I was reading in a book. And exactly, they got killed near this region where we are expecting Paititi. Was it incidents? For what reason? I can't tell you, because I was fortunately not with them. But I would like to repeat their story, And that's why I said, if we once go there, we need like military support.
Yeah, you gotta have protection and
protection and stuff like this, and not to go. Yeah.
And you said that was the 70s, so
it was in the 70s, a long time ago.
Years ago. There's probably still tribes living there, right?
Yes, Paulkiewicz in his book writes about them as well. He met them too, but he was not that close.
What does he say in that book?
he had just somehow some kind of contact with them, but not he was not going too far into the territory that they were looking after. But he was searching actually on opposite side of the river. You know, he was directed by Padre Polentini. That is also a Catholic priest that was for 20 or more years searching after Paititi, but he never got into the territory of Manu National Park really. But I don't know for what reason. He told him it's just on the bottom of Apucatinti, which is a sacred mountain of Incas over there. Yeah, well, I don't know. Paukevich was searching there. He was finding nothing. And we don't expect it over there. We expect it on the other side of the river. Well, our opinion.
You know what actually brings also some for us good feeling about what we're doing is that at the time of Paukevich, even if they had a very large investment from governments and so on to organize the expedition, the availability of geospatial data was quite limited with respect to nowadays. So we have actually more remote sensing data in different spectral ranges from different sensors, aerial, satellite, and so on that we briefly showed you today, some of it. And so we have much more richer information about the territory.
Well, I mean, it sounds like people left some breadcrumbs waiting for somebody to come pick them up and put them together, and you guys might have done it.
I hope we did our best. We
we'll
couldn't
see.
do more.
So how can, you know, for anybody who is interested in learning more and interested in accessing these documents, for example, you guys have put a lot of this right out there in the open on your website. It's Paititi Research, correct?
Yes, it's paititi.info actually it's called.
Okay.
And we actually have a page on the website with the literature related to Paititi. So we put almost everything you can find about Paititi there. But I guess most of it won't lead you to the correct path. Am I right, Ches?
Yes, you are right. As I said, the Bible of knowledge for all people searching for Paititi is exactly Carlos Neves van der Landa, Paititi en la bruma de la historia. I mean, with this book, you have the best results. It's my experience after reading everything possible. Yeah.
But we were not also taking information from books. We, Ceslav mainly, were actually exchanging, sharing ideas and knowledge with other researchers who try to find Paititi. I don't know if you may.
Like who?
Like, you know, from my side, probably you will be surprised, but they were not like archaeologists or historians, but with like adventurers. Because you know, I have to be honest. I'm missing by archaeologists or historians some kind of a guy with vision, with fantasy. You know, they're all dry people concerned on the little field, and that's all. You know, I give you one example.
Okay.
Hiram Bingham, yeah, you know him. Yeah, he discovered
rediscovered
Machu Picchu. Then he was on the way to Vilcabamba. He was on correct way. He saw the first buildings, and he said, "Oh, this is too small place. It's for sure not that." And he returned back. So Vilcabamba had been discovered about 50 years or many years later, yeah, by another guy, just because Bingham had no fantasy, you know.
Yeah, and didn't go and look. I mean that, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm talking to the guys. I was during my research. I was talking to the guys that have this fantasy and have this power to go there and to document everything possible. Like, have you heard about Vincent Lee, for example?
Yes, I've heard of him.
Yes, and he was mapping the ruins around the pass to Vilcabamba. And I have discussed with him the way how the Incas were building their pass, because they had very different ways that we Western people are using, you know. So I discussed with him how what the patterns they were following and so on, and then I was forwarding to Yaroslav so that he can make prediction. If he saw, for example, one piece of Inca pass somewhere through satellites, how it will continue. And for this, you know, that's what I was discussing with Vincent Lee. Yeah, and then of course with Greg Deyermanjian. Greg Deyermanjian, an old guy who made I don't know how many expeditions to Manu National Park searching for Paititi. Well, we might not agree on the way how to do such a research, because yeah, you know, he might have too much Genga guides and going to the jungle, but searching for what? You know, you must have idea where to go first of all. They can lead you there, but you must know where to go. And only guy like Yaroslav can tell you where to go. You know.
So how did you, just, you know, talking about your knowledge in general, how do you know of these names? How do you know of these people that is it from your other research led you to these modern individuals who went looking for things, or is that knowledge you had from before even starting looking for Paititi?
No, it was developing step by step everything. You know, it was simply, yeah. I don't know. Now if I look, we started from nobody knew us, you know, and then with the time we got connected with more and more people. Then guys from America made a movie with us, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this has been. How long has this process been since you first opened up the book and that made the reference to Paititi? How long has it been?
Yeah, 7 years, I guess.
7 years. 7 years of research. I mean, that's...
Yes, 2017, if I am not mistaken, 2017, I read a book, and shortly afterwards, I somehow get contacted with Yaroslav, and then it started.
In May 2017, you contacted me, I remember.
Yeah,
okay.
My life changed.
It sounds like it. We're here 7 years later, right? So, Yaroslav, Ches was talking about seeing, you know, talking to Vincent Lee about the Inca Roads.
Mm-hmm.
In your satellite research, do you see any evidence of Inca Roads leading in that direction?
So let me just show you some pictures, maybe here.
Okay, we saw that. Okay.
So yes, the red line corresponds to well, quite identifiable, okay, path, and it's always tricky, you know, to not be confused by maybe some water erosion. There may be, so I was like double, triple checking all the time, but these are mostly paths going through like the watershed, you know, on top of ridges.
Because that video of mine that we talked about when I'm walking on top of the mountains, you see there was a path before I was there, and that path went from the fortress to the city to another city along different, and it was a path just going along the tip of the mountain, you know, which is what I'm reminded of by looking at this along the ridge.
And so, yeah, we actually, I can't show you right now the complete picture, but we created, let's say, a network of these potential paths, you know, going mostly on top of these ridges. That could potentially connect locations, you know.
And
yeah,
what was even more interesting, I was talking about it with Vincent Lee, you know. Some of them, or maybe even all of them, they have like mutual visibility points, you know, so they could communicate very quickly without even sending some messengers or something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, just another site here. If you want, I can explain. So this one looks like it's a dried up lake actually. It's very overgrown here, and this is like an erosion channel here. Okay, it looks like it's dried up also. Okay, that's what remains. But here you can see some, you know, something here.
Now, is that what is this in your area, or is this separate?
Yes, it's around again. Before we ended up with that particular area of interest, number 3,
I see. Okay.
we mapped, you know, everything around it actually, and we were spotting some features also outside of that area. So there are some interesting features that I would like actually to go there and to check.
Man.
But the point is that we need to focus because they are all like sparse.
They're pretty far
around
apart.
the territory. Maybe not so far, like in absolute values, but in that particular terrain, even like 1 kilometer away, it's already, you know, a huge distance. And so we had to focus on a specific, you know, contained area and put all our attention to that area, and for a while disregard all other small findings we get.
What makes you say that's a dried up lake? Because of the lighter color, the beige going around in the circle, and then
because we have the digital elevation model, and we can see that this is actually below the surrounding.
Really?
Yes. And because I studied this territory, actually I can confirm there are a lot of such dried up lakes. Maybe they are like fill during the rain season. They can fill up, you know, then they, you know, gradually dry up and drain, then they refill again, something like that. So I like if we plan to make an expedition using satellite images of you know, that are 5 years old, we may be surprised if we go there, because
things change very quickly.
Exactly.
How so? Just talking about the next steps. How long does it take? So you guys do a LIDAR survey.
Let's hope.
How long does it take for those results to come in?
If it's done, it can be quite quickly processed. It's not a problem.
Well, it's wait a bit. Okay, let me answer this.
All right, the data scientist.
Hurry him up, bloody hell. He will do it very fast.
I will do it very fast. Okay, let's start with the fact that if we're talking about the particular area, which is relatively small, like 10 square kilometers, but it really depends also at which altitude the data will be collected. The lower the helicopter will be, the more detailed data we get, but the more data we'll need to collect, so it will be more heavy data set. And as soon as we get this data in a standard format, well, some weeks, you know, it also depends on, probably we will need to run some very powerful computer for processing that data. Probably we'll do that in the cloud. It really depends also on data quality, because if for some reason the data will be noisy, maybe, you know, when LIDAR passes over the territory, usually you need to make, you know, several passes over it, several stripes, okay, acquire several stripes, and then you need to stitch them together very perfectly, because if you don't do that at the stage of pre-processing of this point cloud, you will just have data which is unusable, you know, because it won't be perfectly in line, and you can't interpret this, you know. And It depends on data quality we get, how much work we will need to do on removing noise out from it. I expect it to be quite difficult because the territory is heavily covered by forests. So I expect maybe not so good response from the ground level. Okay, because of really thick foliage there. So weeks of processing.
Weeks of process.
1 week. 1 week.
Well, okay. 1 week.
Well,
We'll see. We'll see if there will be some maybe people helping us doing that.
well, so that's I mean, speaking of people helping you guys, how can people follow what you're doing? How can people get involved? How can people contribute if they want to help contribute? Are you accepting those things?
We have our website, so every possible news will be published there.
It's paititi.info.
Let me share it. Let me
Yes.
share the screen so that you can. Let's go to the main page.
Yeah.
The pics we showed you today and some slides you saw, they will be soon available in this current outcomes page. It actually was available here, but we have technical troubles with the site. You know how it is when working on the research, doing this, that, developing website. We have some info here, and if you are interested in getting some general idea on how the remote sensing technology works, you may find useful information here. Here is, by the way, this quite for me, it's a gem on our website, which is this.
The actual report.
Exactly. It's written in an old Italian. I was able to translate it because I speak Italian. But yeah, it was tough. So you actually can zoom in.
Wow.
Like an old Renaissance Italian, but understandable. And you have actually here the English translation. We try to make it as good as possible, but
Yeah, it was a bit difficult. They have specific forms how to say something which are not understandable, so are not so used for us anymore.
Yes, it was a nice experience. I didn't even thought that working with remote sensing technology and all this tech stuff, I will end up translating this manuscript for Jesuits.
Right, and all the information, all the news will be published on this website. And I guess if we'll have some kind of breaking news, like if we go really to Peru to make this LIDARs, we'll have once again talk with you and we'll present what we're gonna do, how we're gonna do. And like this, all people following you will know about our next plans.
So yeah, the news section is the most reliable source of the news about the project. Honestly speaking, we have what do we have? We have a LinkedIn page, Facebook page. I don't remember, but okay, let's. We really don't have time for
This is not anymore really active. We didn't.
Okay.
We are not doing it now.
Simply, we don't have time for managing all the social networks and so on. We are dedicated. We are dedicating our free time for Paititi research, trying to do our best, and everything which may be relevant to visitors of our website, potential contributors, will be put here. Like the latest news from the April is that we announced that we are looking for support in the LIDAR survey.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, this has been wonderful. I mean, I think you guys have put in, again, 7 years of research and dedication. You studied the literature. I think it's amazing that you've put things on the website for that it's accessible to anybody who wants to learn more, who wants to know more, either about the past or the current, status of things. But for me, especially the historical data, that's it's what a treasure trove of information. And so, thank you for allowing you guys put it all together, and thank you for putting it out there so concisely, and the hours and hours and hours of
Raul, thank you for your existence, because the world still needs people like us all, to really devote our time for research, for bringing something on the light,
Absolutely. I spoke to a very famous archaeologist a couple weeks ago, and I asked him, for lack of better words, I said, is there a benefit to the type of, I called it guerrilla archaeology? And he said, absolutely, because people aren't going out there and doing this stuff.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you guys so much for joining. All the links will be in the description below. This has been amazing, and I look forward to keeping in touch and seeing what we can develop here and as the research continues.
Thank you too, Raul. Thank you for your time, and
thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, for all. Take care.
Thank you, guys.
All the links to learn more and support the Paititi research team will be linked in the description below. Definitely hit that subscribe button, because I know it won't be the last time we speak to them, and I'll keep you posted on any updates. Plus, I'm still working on putting out a ton of adventure videos with new discoveries that I personally made on the last expedition down in Peru. So stay tuned for those. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.